The Eagles just got some good news and some bad news as it pertains to the coaching staff. We'll give you all the updates, but more importantly, the Eagles get some huge intel from Adam Schefter on which free agents are likely to stay and try to run it back for another title. I'll give you my predictions on who I think will be back with the Birds in 2025. And A.J. Brown has a home run idea for the Eagles to make a huge leap this offseason yet again, but would Howie Roseman actually pull the trigger? We'll get into it all, but welcome into A to Z Philly. I'm RB. Do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to our channel as we continue to build on this and cover the Eagles every single day. I am excited for a big offseason, and it all starts now with Howie Roseman. Speaking of which, Mel Kiper gave him some huge praise. We know Mel Kiper, who has covered the NFL and college football for a long time. He's an expert, and he gave some huge praise on Howie, saying, quote, "It's not bold at all. He's one of the best GMs in NFL history by far. He's a Hall of Famer, guaranteed Hall of Fame guy. Put him in the Hall of Fame now. He's as good as any GM in the history of the game." Do you agree or disagree with Mel Kiper? What do you think? Has Howie Roseman done enough after making his third appearance in the Super Bowl, winning two? Has he done enough as the GM to be in the Hall of Fame right now? I think, yeah. I think he has, especially when you think about what he has overcome early in his career. What an insane trajectory, man. He has been incredible. One of the best in the game right now. One of the best all time. I think I agree with Mel Kiper, but give me your thoughts down below. And in addition to executive leadership, you need good coaching as well. And we have some good updates here on the Eagles coaching staff. Eagles assistant head coach and running back coach Jamal Singleton interviewed for the Saints OC job. One Eagles official recently described Singleton as, quote, "a big part of what we do on offense and a rising star going forward." And we thought, okay, Kellen Moore leaves. He's trying to poach guys away. However, he ends up hiring Doug Nussmeier as the new offensive coordinator over there in New Orleans. This was the quarterback coach last year, and he was amazing. He did a fantastic job with Jalen Hurts, but we expected that. We expected him to get hired away. We know the Eagles are promoting Kevin Patullo, and they got Parks Frazier from the Dolphins to be the replacement for Kevin Patullo, but we expected Nussmeier to be gone. However, Jamal Singleton is staying in Philadelphia, which is a huge thing. And in addition to that, Eagles DB's coach, Christian Parker, is also staying with the Philadelphia Eagles. Christian Parker did an amazing job with that young secondary this year, and people thought, okay, given that the Eagles won it all and there was a lot of success, maybe Kellen Moore could have brought him over as well, but the Saints are hiring Brandon Staley as their new defensive coordinator. So he will be the DC in New Orleans, and Christian Parker will stay over here in Philadelphia. And lastly, another guy ends up leaving the staff, not as brutal as a guy like Christian Parker, but TJ Pagnetti from the Eagles is now heading to New Orleans as well. He served as a run game specialist and an assistant offensive line coach for Philly last season. So Kellen, no more, stay away from the Eagles, guys. Like I said, happy for him, happy he got the job, but a couple guys is enough. You know what I mean? Keep Jamal Singleton, keep Christian Parker. You take Doug Nussmeier, you take Pagnetti. I believe Pagnetti was even on the old regime before Nick Sirianni, so he was here a while. That is surprising, but maybe these guys are being promised more opportunity going into the future. Let me know what you think about the Eagles coaching staff down below. Now, in other news, the Eagles got a really good update on Cam Jurgens. Pro Bowl center Cam Jurgens underwent a back procedure in LA with Dr. Robert Watkins to alleviate nerve pain, and they believe a full recovery is expected by July in time for training camp. So Jurgens headed into the final season of his rookie contract. He elevated to another level this year, and I'll tell you what, without the efforts of him and Landon Dickerson, trying to play through that NFC championship and, trying to really muscle through for this team, who knows what would have happened, right? Like, who knows without that effort? I mean, these guys put their bodies physically on the line every day, but that was heroic. Dickerson playing and then Jurgens having to come back in, just some really tough guys up front. And that is what the Eagles do. That's been their philosophy and why they continue to build up these, all pro and Pro Bowl guys in the trenches. So shout out to Cam Jurgens, and I'm glad that he will be back in time. Tell you who else I think will be back, or at least I hope will. Zack Baun, top 101 NFL players from the 2024 season. Baun comes in at number 11. incredible season, incredible story. The Eagles were filled with amazing stories, and we get some intel from Adam Schefter on a bunch of these free agents. Here are the key free agents this offseason. When you think about the job that Howie Roseman has done, the fact that these are the only guys that are free agents is insane. Eagles have their whole offensive team from the Super Bowl coming back, like a record-setting team that could essentially, do it again. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but they are good enough. They have the chemistry. They've been playing together, and obviously they have a lot of elite talents. But Zack, Baun, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, BG, Mekhi, Becton, and then guys like Fred Johnson, Avonte Maddox, Rick Lovato, Kenny Gainwell, Oren Burks. So the Eagles are in a really good spot in terms of team building where they're capitalizing on a lot of these young players before they have to pay them when their rookie deals end. Now, a couple of years down the line, you might have to make some tough decisions. But for now, Eagles have the window, and it's just a credit to the job Howie has done. And here's what Adam Schefter said about Zack Baun, quote, Zack Baun is a guy I would think that they're going to work and re-sign and bring back because they saw how valuable he is. The question is there a team out there that is going to pay him considerably more than the Eagles are willing to? And I do think, although money is the main thing at this point, they've won a title and all that, I do think that the culture here in Philly and the fact that they gave these guys opportunities is going to play a big part. I think they really resonate with the Philly culture and they like being here, playing here. There was a rumor that the Rams may be offering Zack Baun more. Well, guess what? Zack Baun wants to be here because when everybody counted him out, Philly gave him a chance and helped him elevate to being the best linebacker in the league this past year. And, I think Zack Baun is the guy, no matter what happens, that the Eagles need to go out and re-sign. Zack Baun is the guy that needs to be back in Midnight Green next season. No doubt about it. How long have the Eagles been waiting for a linebacker to fall right into their lap who they can build with for an extended period of time? Zack Baun was not a one-hit wonder. We saw it every week that this guy has the skills. He has the traits. He has the leadership. He was amazing all season long. You cannot let him slip like TJ Edwards slipped away. And in addition to Zack Baun, Mekhi Becton, according to Adam Schefter, could be coming back to the Eagles. It says Becton found a home in Philly. He chose to go to Philly in large part because of Jeff Stoutland and how he would help rebuild his career. And that's exactly what happened. Now he can go out and seek greener pastures, or he and the Eagles could work out a fair deal where he can continue to thrive. I think Mekhi Becton is going to be inclined to stay. And he has said that multiple times this season, without Jeff Stoutland, without the coaching staff here in Philly, he might not even be playing football anymore. They called him a bust. They labeled him as one of the worst first-round picks with the Jets. Look what he did this year. They move him inside to guard. He was tremendous. I really think Becton will take a discount to stay here in Philadelphia, but we'll see. I would count on Baun and Becton being back, though. Those will be my two predictions. However, Adam Schefter admits that Milton Williams sounds like a guy who will get paid and leave, and Josh Sweat also sounds like a guy who will get paid and will leave. And you know what? I think I'm going to agree with Schefty. I think Josh Sweat, hires a new agent. He's going to get a big-time payday, maybe a little bit of an overpay, but he has earned it. He deserves it for the game he put out there on the biggest stage. And Milton Williams is just a guy that gives you really solid production, but, he's probably going to get paid like a number one, and I don't think the Eagles can do that right now when you look at the future with Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. But I'm not worried. I think Howie Roseman's going to draft more defensive linemen. And I think with the system that Vic Fangio has created, it's not going to matter. Because with Vic Fangio's system, you just plug and play. For example, when Nakobe Dean gets hurt, you plug and play Oren Burks, who, no offense, is not some star-level linebacker. Look how solid his production was. I am happy that these guys are going to get paid, but I don't think it's a lot of sweat, no pun intended, for the Eagles, because I think they're going to be able to replace these guys fairly easily. Now, let's talk about one guy who could replace these guys that could be a home run hit. A.J. Brown says that Myles Garrett is the dream addition for the Eagles this offseason. There's been rumors, right? Garrett said before he would want to play in Philly. He says Myles Garrett, adding him with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. Could you imagine a guy that has had 14-plus sacks the last couple of years, who has been an All-Pro many times, who is pretty much one of the best edge rushers in the league? Howie Roseman is that demonic, man. He's the type to do that and say, screw you to the rest of the league and go out there and say, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to piss you off and work his magic and find a way to get this GM on the phone and force him to trade Myles Garrett to Philly. I could actually see it happening. I honestly could. I mean, Howie Roseman is that good with these negotiations. They need to block his numbers, some of these other teams. But anyway, if you bring Myles Garrett in here, and I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, well, you know, they shouldn't give up a ton of assets and they can draft guys. Listen, man, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. If Myles Garrett wants to come to Philadelphia, you don't overthink it. If you can get him for, say, a first rounder and a late pick or a pick swap, come on, man. Myles Garrett is the best in the game right now. If you could bring him in, I don't care if his numbers may not look the same with Vic Fangio. He's going to be productive. They said the same thing about Hassan Reddick. Reddick goes back to the Jets, finally plays, and then didn't even look close to what he was. Garrett is an unbelievable player, and if he wants to be here in Philly and Howie Roseman is crazy enough to actually go do it, you got to pull the trigger, man, and I actually think he would. So there's one potential replacement, but either way, I think the Eagles will draft guys and will bring in productive players that can build in the future, probably from Alabama and Georgia and schools like that. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to Big Dom. A.J. Brown also said that Big Dom is the reason the Eagles stayed together and were able to win the Super Bowl. For example, Darius Slay was about to leave. Slay said that Big Dom called him up and said, you're not going anywhere. Even though Big Dom is just the sidekick sometimes, you know, and they kind of make jokes about him in the national media, this guy is a really tough dude who protects this team, keeps them close, keeps them tight-knitted, and keeps that chemistry going. So I want to give a shout out to Big Dom, man. He's awesome. Who do you think is going to stay with the Eagles, and who do you think is going to go? Give me your predictions down below. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.